The unpromising race pupil returns.
He does not so much as glance at the object.
Stop showing me your pathetic cup.
He had nothing to do with it. Does he strike you as the kind of man who puts mugs into trash?
Don't be vulgar. White or not has got little to do with this. The race enigma runs much deeper than that. Mr. Clare is a man of vision and means. He has the will to confront polycultural capital. Something your race, naivistic communists, never. Also, to serve is noble. It takes discipline. Your petulant individualism has only contributed to your race failure. It is lax and moronic. Jam. Individualism. You have gotten these ideas from degenerate youth culture, have you not? You have picked them up from rock and roll songs? Of course it does. You are a degenerate individualist and a rock and roll rebel. I am not surprised you enjoy it so much. This has happened to many of the side products of the inevitable cultural victory of the Seminoles race. I can see that. The Seminoles are the South Island race, haplogroup A4A, the rightful masters of the Insulindian archipelago. We are the future. That is all. I am a descendant. The narrow streets of Ulumbuir are with me in my genetic dreams. I see young Seminoles women walk into the grey mass on Ile de Fantôme, waiting on him. Good.
I think this racist is better than the last, but the next racist will be the really good one.
That will be the...
He will grant us 3 wishes.
Your pedomorphic friend has quick wits, a protruding occiput, and an intent.
The lieutenant does not flinch.
You should keep him close. The congenital defect of farsightedness does not render him a complete invalid. He still has the use of his mind. I am not the first line of defense. I am the last. In addition, these so-called Hardy boys are an effeminate clique.
You pick up on something artificial in his tone, like he's putting on an act. This is unlike him. He is usually more himself.
Fine. They have recently fallen under the influence of a possibly sexually perverted. Find out for yourself. and don't.
Interesting.
Racists are generally not very good examples of their race. I am not like them. I am craniometric perfection. I have taken the trouble to permanently draw a phrenologic grid on my skull and features. This should dispel any doubt. Correct. There is nothing funky about them. There are 3 categories of race. Type A, Type B. I cannot possibly imagine what else we have to discuss, Type Revacholian. Your love for disco music and venereal disease? Don't be vulgar. White or not has got little to do with it. Mr. Clare is a man of vision and means. He has the will to confront international capital. Something your race, naivistic. Of course you are, Revacholian man. Above all, rampant multinational finance still reigning large. Tell me where have offshoots of the Seminoles people invent? I am not surprised you enjoy it so much. This has what you need is to come to terms with extinction and never getting into this harbor.
Just like that, instinct took over. A solid strike straight into his throat, into the cartilage. The man is reeling, gasping for air. Time stands still around you. In the distance, the sounds of the harbor are falling silent. Oh God, wrong move. Your head is in his hands, like a pair of forceps crushing you, and you can feel every jewel.
Say it. I am a degenerate drunk.
The compression is unbearable. This is causing some serious damage to whatever precious, gelatinous thing is inside there. Your sight turns red.
You are a poor player of physical chess.
How did this happen? Your little fist is in his giant hand, and he's squeezing it.
You must be out of your mind, degenerate drunk. Say it. I am a degenerate.
Your fist cracks in his hand like a ripe apple. Pain shoots up into your brain as he's twisting it more.
The words to the song have changed. Say, I am out.
Your hand twists in his grip and the pain blinds you. Still you press the words out of your swollen mouth.
Good. Now leave before you humiliate your homoerotic organization any further.
What's this? We're getting reports of normal, reasonable, temperate political opinions somewhere in Martinez. Of course, a radical centrist. In these bright and loud times where 1,000 frequencies drown one another out, sober, it's time to become a citizen of the kingdom of conscience. I knew we could trust you. Remember, real democracy is just around the corner for Revachol. When that real democracy kicks in,
I'd appreciate it if you didn't force us into situations where I may have to shoot random civilians, because that won't get us anywhere. I'm not even sure the one bullet my chamber holds would even prick that hook. We are not here on some political quest. We are here to solve a crime. Don't make the situation any more volatile than it already is. We are not here on some political quest. We are here to solve a crime. Don't make the situation any more volatile.
the lieutenant groans. But that's right. You should do it again. It's the...
The unpromising race pupil returns.
Just like that, instinct took over. The man is reeling, gasping for air. Time stands. Don't wait. You've only got a millisecond. He's coming too. Time is breaking loose from the stupor. His left hand curls up into a fist. The man lands with a dull thump, like a broken down puppet of muscles and sinew. For a moment, he still tries to keep his head up, dazed eyes looking at you with unimaginable surprise. To your left is the button. As you slam your fist on the button, the man collapses entirely, his head rolling.
Looks like you're the new measurehead now.
Her voice is surprisingly calm.
No one is the new measurehead. Let's go before he gets up.
It's clear you like the hard stuff, Brota. Evening falls. The time has come to take. The vows are blurred and flesh. Lower intestine. The term is metabolic and circulatory system. Fascism, Brota. Many things, but it's mostly about trusting your gut. Who does your gut tell you is the source of Revachel's problems? Yes, them. Wermen. Wermen. Men of Wer. You don't like them. They're insane. Their idiocy needs to be scrubbed off this world with rubbing alcohol. That's what fascism boils down to. The rest is also important. But the main thing is that women need to know their place. Stomach truth. You're having a stomach truth. Because you've said the hard things that others won't say, the good things, you've said them many times. You're going to keep your views, right? Keep your views, Brota. For the nation, smart. Best not to mention the women too often. That's why you're the head and I am the stomach. Of course you are, Bruta. Of course. The man is still knocked out. The tarpaulin cloak is still hanging on the railing. The white rectangle of the Revachol Citizens Militia is clearly visible on its... As your fingers touch the tarpaulin, it almost feels like the cloak wants to deliver a message. I will shield you from the elements and give my life for yours. That's what the cloak is relaying. front of this quarterly journal features a large satirical portrait of the late King Friesel. From the sides of his head, a pair of white antlers spread because Friesel was incompetent, foolish, and cruel. In short, the embodiment of everything the communards wished to overthrow. It's satire, you see. To your disappointment, there aren't any full-color pictures to direct your attention. Just column after column of closely set text. After rifling the pages with your thumb several times, you return to the table of... The magazine is divided into several sections. International developments, Kunst und Kultur, and local concerns. Just inside the cover, there's also an editor's note. Comrade, as you know, this journal takes its name from Mazov's immortal expression, Du cristal à la fumée. This was his way of describing the way the rigid, crystalline structures of capitalist... But, like the structures of capitalist ideology, we too are at risk of going à la fumée. Unlike many publications which are content to spoon-feed their readers reassuring drivel, La Fumée is committed to telling the radical truth, even when that truth may drive away potential. Only 4 issues in, and it sounds like they've already alienated their readership. So please, if you value our radical Mazovian perspective on contemporary politics, culture, and international affairs, please consider subscribing today. Yours in struggle, the editors.
What do you expect? It was laying around the office of the Debarders Union. They're probably bankrupt.
You flip back to the front of the magazine. The table of contents unfolds before you. This section includes a long, tedious critique of the latest round of free trade negotiations between the EPIS nations and the... You also skip over an article about heavy fuel oil smuggling along the Messina border. Something about bear wrestling in Samara, book riots in... Face it, you really aren't interested in foreign affairs. You're not even sure where most of these countries... You flip back to the front of the magazine. The table of contents unfolds before you. It takes a moment, but gradually it dawns on you that Kunst und Kultur must... Why they decided to title this one section in Volda is beyond you. It evokes a sense of recognition and fellowship among those privileged enough to understand. As you leaf through this section, you come across several reviews of recent radio plays, as well as a brief artist spotlight featuring a local artist identified only as CS. The main feature, though, is a long essay titled Tip Top Tournée, a critical Mazovian perspective. This so-called artist spotlight is really just a brief Q&A, made all the briefer by the subject's evident hostility to her interviewer. The actual article is surprisingly light on details, but after skimming a page or two, you gather that it has something to do with motor carriage racing. If you don't follow it, you only ever hear about the ludicrous sponsorships and obscene death toll. You think you're settling in for a relaxing recap of the most recent season, maybe sprinkled with some nice anecdotes about a few of the more colorful drivers. Instead, you find yourself skimming a 10,000-word feature about all the politically problematic aspects of Tip Top Tournée. Where to even start? For one, there's the crass commercialism of its sponsorships. And then there's the practically criminal emphasis on deadly motor crashes. So, all of it, basically. Oddly enough, this article has 2 bylines. Nesteb and Colada Bernal, and there's no way those are real names. Have you ever met anyone named Exilus? Come on, they're plainly pseudonyms. And that precisely is what's problematic about it. Were it not for the promise of random, spectacular violence, audiences would quickly lose interest. At the end of the day, it's the destruction of these 750,000 real races that you're really watching for. Sure, you think that, but subconsciously, it's the visions of brand name. That's because you haven't been reading critically. But don't worry. The whole point of these sorts of articles is to let someone else read critically for you.
Ah, come on. Can this article read your mind? A certain kind of young man reads 1 or 2 books and suddenly thinks he understands the secret structures of reality. If I had to wager, I'd say they've never even seen the inside of a motor, much less a motor race.
You flip back to the front of the magazine. The table of contents unfolds before you. Unsurprisingly, much of this section is taken up with articles. You skim the headlines. Paint the harbor red and white. Martinez tames the wild pines. A city in revolt. First we take Martinez, then we take La Delta. Finally, there's a brief article by the writer, G. Martin, accusing the owner of the Capeside apartments of illegally attempting to evict certain communist tenants simply for not having paid their rent. The eternal problem, according to G. Martin, is that under capitalism, the worker is rendered incapable of. Thus, they tend to experience their own oppression as though it were happening to somebody else. Is that true? Have you felt estranged? You flip back to the front of the magazine. The table of contents unfolds before you. The note is written with a blue pencil on a piece of lined office paper. The kitchen magnets have left spots on its surface.
It belongs inside a radio computer, storing its memory. It's like a tape. You listen to disco tapes.
It's like the production schedule you found. Only this one's an off. The face of King Freecell. On second glance, someone has forgotten to properly close one of.
It's unfortunate for the union to just leave their paperwork lying around.
Let's see what's inside, he thinks. The drawer opens smoothly. Inside is a well-organized selection of brown folders. Hundreds of documents containing logistical data. Two kinds of transactions stand out, and the same materials being handed over to companies inside Revachol. Couron. It's hard to make sense of this thicket of company names, dates, quantities, and percentages. You try to focus, but the lines are getting blurry. Whatever's hidden here is hidden well. Concentration isn't enough. Only a trained accountant with a background in logistics would be able to really make sense of it. However, there is a little handwritten note stuck on the side of the drawer. It appears to be a to-do list written in large, uneven capital letters. Remember, Leo, Everart's shoes, special whirling borscht, water Everart's plants, sweep office floor, more banners. All items on the list have been crossed out and the note itself is crumpled.
Everard Clare, probably. The head of the Debarders Union. One of his aides must have left it. Nothing incriminating here.
The special borscht seems a bit odd in the list. What is so special about this borscht? Code for drugs? Booze? Blood? Hundreds of documents containing logistical data and the same materials being handed over. You already went through all of these. Remember, Leo, Everart's shoes, special whirling borscht, water Everart's plants. Sweep. All items on the list have been crossed out and the note itself is crumpled. The drawer slides shut smoothly. An imposing combination of a punch clock and a payphone is looking down at you from the wall. A note on the side says, "Tokens unavailable due to strike. Use change." The machine swallows your coin and seems to be waiting for your next move. It's unclear whether you actually have muscle. Undoubtedly, no. Sure, why not? Nothing tricky about that. You just do, fail, repeat, until it works. All it takes is motivation and practice. those empty wine bottles and cigarette butts on the ground? Someone partied really hard here.
Well, yes, I think we can say with relative confidence that it was you. Yes, this looks pretty advanced, all right.
This is the night watchman's booth. The name on the door. Listen, it's okay to take a few minutes to yourself. You need to rest. Your body is aching. Getting in here has taken something out of you. Have a seat.
If you must. But please hurry, we are pretty easy to spot up here.
Nothing incriminating catches your eye. The cabinets are clean and their sparse contents meticulously organized. There's a frame. It's a black and white photo of a young couple out in a street fair. The man, Rene, is dressed in a Royal Carabinier uniform. The girl is young and very pretty. She is smiling playfully at the camera. Rene looks like he's about to smile. This photo must be tied to some good memories.
Why did you take that picture of René? You're really interested in that old soldier. Not sure I understand your fascination, but sure, as long as it doesn't take up a whole lot of time.
The chair is not as austere as the rest of the booth. A thin grey pillow is attached to the seat, secured to the stiles by black ribbons. Stale air floods through your nostrils. Not a single mote of dust floats inside your lungs, though. The inside of the booth is the drawers are empty, save for old timesheets and receipts. One small box, however, does hold some cheap painkillers. They are slightly out of date. You take the painkillers. They are yours now. Oh boy, where to start? Elevated risk of dementia, mini strokes, prophet's disease, sudden death, hair death, erectile malfunction, critical flatulence, watery blood, black mucus, uncontrollable weeping, increased sensitivity to la opera, inoperable joint disorder, total spinal collapse. Maybe this. You stand and exit the booth.